Sir Luton, and welcome to this battle report from the Markov dossier. My name is Scott, and I'm here with Sam.
Howdy, Pilgrims.
And we are doing a battle report for a recent Wes Exodus adventure we did between the Union and the Warrior Nation.
Yeah, this was something we've been planning to do for ages and ages and just haven't had a chance to do, and we finally managed to get back together, and we had a new location to do it in. We chose to do it in near where I live, called the Elite Gaming Lounge. It's based in Colville, and it's a really nice venue to play in. The staff were extremely friendly. There's plenty of room to play. Even it was a really busy afternoon, but there was plenty of room for us to play in there. And they got a table out, put a big piece of plywood on it, so we got room for the boards. They have regular wargaming nights, D&D nights, Magic the Gathering nights, painting lessons, and so on. It's a really, really nice place and space to play in, and we highly recommend it. If you're in the Midlands area, do look it up. It's the Elite Gaming Lounge in Colville. I suppose at this point I should say we have not at all been paid to say that. We just really enjoyed the place.
No, it was something, like you said, we wanted to do for a long time. We didn't really know a lot about it. Sam had just seen it sort of in his passing, and we play at Black Dragon a lot, so we thought we'd just give it a bit of a change. Like, we've not been put off Black Dragon or anything like that. It's just something for a bit of a change of venue for once, just to see what it was like. And yeah, like Sam said, there is, if you are a gamer of any kind, tabletop, board game, card game, video game, it's all under one roof. You cannot go wrong. And also, they do incredible food as well. I cannot stress how good the burger was that we had. Well, I had anyway.
It was so good we had to do the Instagram thing. We've actually took photos of the food and put them in this video because it was just so good.
We will try not to wax too much about the burger, but it's definitely going to get a mention, so heads up. For our battle report, as per usual, we did our standard battle report size, so we did 125 points per posse. I took Warrior Nation and you took Union. Do you want to go over your list quickly before I go over mine?
One of the reasons we wanted to play this game was we were both going out of our comfort zones. I've never played a Union before. I've got lots of models for them because they're actually my sons, and you went for Warrior Nation, which is, again, something you've never played before. 125 point list. I took two posses. My first posse was a Forlorn Hope posse commanded by Custer. I took all four troop types, so I took Armoured Guard, Armoured Riflemen, Regular Skirmishers and Regular Riflemen. To get the points to fit, I had to drop a skirmisher from each type to make, so I had the Riflemen were units of 5 and the Skirmishers were units of 4 to get the points to fit. But that gave me a lot of troops on the ground because I knew I was facing Scott's very elite Warrior Nation, and I thought what I need here is numbers to tie him up. So he can't just slaughter me piecemeal in melee. I thought I need some numbers to tie him up. So that was the first unit. The second unit, I took regular Tesla from the Retribution box. I took some Tesla bot rifles, 4 of those, and 2 Iron Eagles. The Iron Eagles was a unit I kept flipping and flopping, but I thought, do I take the Iron Eagles or do I take the Tesla Guardsmen? In the end, I took the Eagles. I'm not sure I'll do that again because, to be honest, they didn't do a lot for the game apart from look impressive on the board and move around a bit. But they do add a lot of firepower. So that was my list. And your list was?
Yeah, so my list was pretty straightforward. It was the entire Pride of the Nekomata box, so everybody in that box, which is Kumano, Ichiko, Kenzai, Tora, Yama, and Yorona. Then I took, in conjunction with that, a very small tribal retribution posse, which was Walks looking, Little Claw, who now counts as a great shaman, because that's what I need for unlocking other stuff for the posse, and a single Karga brother with Gatling cannon.
And just before you move on, I think we should point out there's some people looking at this slide going, hang on a minute, there's a whacking great Ironhide in there. Yes, there is. We did bring the Ironhide mainly because it just looks cool and I wanted to use it as scenery. We did put into the scenario that the Ironhide was broken down and that anyone, if they could get in it, could have a go at starting it. We made a rule that you had to make a mind check with a big penalty to start it because it was pretty broken. But if you passed it, the Ironhide was yours and you could go rampaging around in that, which we thought would be a fun little mechanic to add something to the game. We'll talk about how that went later.
Yeah. So, also something else before we move on. We were playing a Badlands scenario because we thought it fit really well with the two armies. So we were playing a camp raid. I can't remember the exact name.
I think it's called Ambush, I think.
Yeah, Ambush. So one player sets up in the centre of the board and the other player sets up anywhere around the edge, and it's just a kill scenario. So for every unit you completely destroy, you get a victory point, and it was pretty fitting for the two armies, and we figured that story-wise it made more sense for the Union to be sort of camping in a Warrior Nation sacred area, because, you know, that's a pretty good trope to rely on, and it works really well for the two factions, so we went with that. And I think it worked very well from a story point, not just like two armies ambushing. It looked pretty good. It played pretty good. So
we'll have to try it next time with you in the middle and me around the outside. See how that goes.
Yeah.
What the picture you can see here, that's the setup, so you can see how we set up. And just a couple more pictures. And this is where Scott had got him set up. So he'd set up behind the rocks, so I couldn't just start opening up on him as soon as turn one started. So he got almost the entire Nikomata posse behind. Is that all of them? I think it is.
All but one.
All but one.
Yeah. And
the rest of them on the, shall we say, the south side of the board. We'll call this north. And on the south side of the board, I think, was where your others were set up.
Yeah. So the Tribe of Retribution was set up one side. I had the Rona on her own in sort of the corner of the board, and the rest of the Nekomata are all hiding behind a giant rock face.
Why have I got a picture of 4 action points? This was my initiative draw. As soon as I pulled that out for initiative, I thought, well, I've won the initiative, but it's going to be one of those games, isn't it? Because there goes 4 action points that I can't use at any point now. I had a sinking feeling when that came out. I thought, oh no, here we go. But we shall see how it went. It was just like, great.
Yeah, not a good pull for a start off.
Okay. So we're into turn 1 here. And what's that one's name has come in and started?
That is Tora Koken. So he is the sort of stealthy, assassin-y sort of guy. I pulled a card. I think I pulled a 3 action point card for him. And I had decided that the Nekomata and the Warrior Nation as a whole, I don't think they're too worried about charging into combat. They're not going to be like hanging back and playing it tactical. They just want to just get stuck in as soon as possible. So I pulled the card and I just thought, right, to play in theme, I'm just going to go straight into combat. So I used Shadow Step to step out from the tent and try and stab Custer to death, and didn't work.
You did some great rolls, and you did indeed fail. Custer did indeed fail his grit check. Unfortunately, Custer has a nice little rule where he basically, if he ever fails his grit check, one of the troops within 3 inches basically fails the grit check for him. Is it called It's All About Me? I think it is. That's the. And so, unfortunately, although you did successfully do some damage to Custer, one of the riflemen heroically sacrificed himself to save his brigadier general. I don't think you were aware of that rule, were you?
No, if I'd have known about that rule, I would have changed my first turn ever so slightly. He would have gone into combat with the unit instead of Custer, which, again, is going to come back a little bit later. Some fun little shenanigans happened with Custer quite a lot through the game, so it's very interesting.
Yes. So first blood to Scott, just not the one he was expecting to get. And then, well, my skirmishers piled in.
Yeah.
Those are my armoured guard, and they've all piled in to have a good kicking, and that went surprisingly well. Wasn't expecting to get that, I must admit. Was it Custer that dealt the death blow, or was?
Yeah, it was Custer that dealt the death blow. Yeah. So he managed to survive 2 attacks from the skirmishes, and then he went...
And I decided that close work with plasma pistols sounds like a lot of fun. And it is. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, got ya.
Yeah, so almost like within 2 activations, I'd already lost one of my characters. And as an elite force, that was pretty crushing to begin with. But I continued my charge forwards mentality. I didn't let it deter me, so I decided I would charge straight into Tesla. I attacked him and I managed to wound him, but he metalled it off.
And looks like my regular skirmishers came in to support, and a large brawl between Walks Looking and Tesla and the skirmishers ensued. And I think if we go to the next slide...
Yeah.
Oh, someone else popped up as well and tried to have a go.
Yeah, I decided that Kamano was going to follow up through a portal into the fray and try and take down Tesla. And as you can see, that did not go well for me.
Who took him down? Was it Tesla?
It was Tesla.
It was. I punched you, didn't I, repeatedly with my shock gauntlets?
Yeah, I got shocked, which meant I was disordered. And so, because I'd already metalled off the first wound that he gave me, when I got the second lot of shock, it became lethal, which obviously means you have to reroll grit checks. And already being disordered, it was pretty much instant nail in the coffin for him. Again, like this is the 4th activation for me, and I've already lost one of my main melee beasts as well as the commander for the detachment. So that's pretty much all of their fortune reservoir done. At this point, I was definitely thinking this is going to be a quick game. At this point, I just thought, in for a penny, in for a pound. Kenzai popped through the portal, and he had a go at Tesla as well, but he'd obviously lost his disorder because he activated. So again, I'd have to disorder him from metal and then wound him again to kill him off. So it was a bit of a risk.
It was a bit of a gamble,
but it paid off.
It did. I was quite surprised that Tesla went down this easily, and I was like, oh, damn it, I've lost my commander now.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things where I didn't know a lot of the rules for Tesla, and he has impervious.
Yeah.
So he ignores all piercing and the fatal quality. So you can't make him ignore metal. He can always metal, and he can always just take a straight grit 6.
Yeah, pretty high grit.
Yeah.
But a couple of bad dice rolls, and down he goes. So I think this is end of turn shot, I think, isn't it? The tale of 2 dice. So, Scott was using the red dice today. I'd actually got my nice new blue Union dice, so these are Scott's dice. And as of course, if a dice goes off the table, it's null and void. One of these dice went off the table and landed that way up. The other dice is the reroll of that dice. Which way round do you think it was for Scott? Yep. The 10 went off the table, so when he re-rolled it, he got the ace. Much to my amusement. As I went on the table, went, oh, it's a 10. He went, you're joking, didn't you? He went, oh, this will be ace. I went, no, it won't. Oh, it's an ace. Just one of the many cool fun moments we had in this. We had some very interesting quirks of fate during this game, and this was just one of them.
Yeah, this was a common theme for me, but we'll get to that later.
I'm pretty sure that is end of turn.
Yeah, that looks like end of turn because I can see Yama. So she's moved.
Yeah.
And she's decided to have a go at Custer. She's not learnt the lessons from one of her brothers, but like I said, I just decided I'm just going to go for it now. I might as well.
Yes, there she is in the middle of the board, attacking Custer, just by the log pile. So by the end of the turn, it was 2-2, because I think you'd scored a victory point from one of your cards, hadn't you? As well as killing Tesla, you'd got a victory point from a card, whereas I'd killed 2 units.
Yeah. So I got have a boss within the enemy deployment zone. And because Walks Looking was in the enemy deployment zone, I got a point. So, yeah.
I was kind of miffed because I had some of those cards that said get in the deployment zone one was said get in the centre of the board, which I was already at, and then the other one said get in the enemy's deployment zone. I thought this could be great. Then I reread them. It's face specialists had to be getting there, and I haven't got any. I was like, drat. So my good luck with drawing activations continues. That's an activation card, not me getting 5 points. I was right miffed because I thought I could have used that if I'd gambled. It's like, great.
Yeah, I mean, that was 2 of your big cards out of the deck just for...
activations. Yeah. Gutted.
Not great.
You were happy.
Yeah.
Although I didn't bother Custer too much because my next card was actually a 3, so I activated Custer straight away and unloaded into Yama again at close range, using close work on the pistols, and to my surprise, again, that pulled off because there's such a heavy penalty for doing that. And yep, managed to take you down. Another point to me.
Yes, so that's now 3 people that I've lost. I think in that round as well, you tried to shoot into combat. And then
this is my friendly fire incident, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, there was... After I had another shoot action, because of course Custer has just fortune to burn, so I thought, what the heck? I took another shoot action into combat and ended up blowing the head off of one of my own troops. But it's only friendly fire when it's coming at a higher ranking officer in the Union Army. The other way round, it's an unfortunate incident of heroism. That's it. He sacrificed himself for the Union.
Yep.
I was trying to hold him still so that I could take a screenshot. It's not my fault he moved.
Not really what happened in turn 2 other than that, was there? Which is why there's not many photos.
That's not the end of turn. There is a good... Next slide. That's not the end of turn. It was just about ahead. Oh, yeah. Then the lunch. We said the burgers. We said the food was good, and we took some photos of the food. Oh my god, these were good. That's mine. That is a brunch burger.
Yep, I had a bacon cheeseburger.
Triple deck, didn't it?
Yep. Oh,
yeah.
So good.
So
I'm not going to keep this on for too long because it's making me hungry right now. This is where I
actually annihilated my rifleman.
Yeah,
with one attack.
I knew he was... before the game started, I'd sort of had a quick look at the cards, and I knew that Kenzai was the person I was going to send after the units. So obviously, in this game, it is a clear sort of very hands-heavy force versus a very, very elite force. And my concern was that I was just going to get outnumbered and outgunned. And so far it had happened just as I'd sort of expected it to. The hands were doing the work of getting a medal off a person, and then the bosses could finish them off, sort of thing. But this guy was going to be the guy I sent into units because he's got 4 attacks. He's not, he's not a slouch in combat either. So I was almost certainly going to hit people, but there's no pierce on his weapons, so it's always straight grit checks. But yeah, unfortunate rolling from you, good rolling from me. I triggered the brutal crit on his weapon, so 4 hits against 3 bots, and they all went down, which was
smushed to pieces. They never got a shot off.
No, it was a bit of a shame. In fact, to be fair, Tesla's posse only managed to kill one person, didn't they? Because
yeah, it was Tesla managed to put someone down, but that's all they did. The Tesla bots died far too fast, and the Iron Eagles just didn't get to do anything. Every time I shot at you, you're blooming quickened the dead it before I could get the dice on the table.
Yep, they did get to 1 shot off.
Oh, this was your epic miss, wasn't it?
Oh, God, yeah.
You were shooting at the hands unit there. I think that's that you can see in the distance, and literally anything but a 1 would have hit.
Yeah, I focused the shot, and she's got an aim of 7. She's a nice sniper unit.
You even focused it, didn't
shot. You? Yeah, I focused it. She gets long shot. She doesn't take any penalties for being over a long distance. 20-inch gun, and it's got a nasty pierce on it, so I just right, I'm just going to pick off some of these Union guys. But I pulled a 1 action card, so I thought, okay, that's fine. I'm bound to kill at least 1 Union guy here anyway. And I rolled a 1. absolutely devastating time to roll a 1. But
didn't you then pull some fortune to make a shoot again, and you still missed? Or was that later?
No, because
that was later.
Yeah, that was later on where I used a card and some fortune to get another shot off, and still didn't work. Yeah, because my commander had gone, so
you were struggling for chips.
I was struggling. I don't remember who took down Ichigo.
Whereabouts is she on the board? Oh, this is where this is one of my one-shot kills. From
yes. Oh, yes.
And this is why this podcast is called Kowalski.
Yeah.
I took a random pot shot with a Union skirmish, regular Union skirmisher with the pistol. You know, what the heck? I got nothing better to do. Blom! Off she goes. Because you'd been shocked by somebody already, hadn't you? You'd been hit by shock. Because you got shock on, so you must have been hit by an electro cannon. So was this my Iron Eagles that got a shot on you but done nothing else other than hit shock? And then
I think
pistoled
so,
you?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tell you why, my Iron Eagles did do something, just not particularly effectively, and then a single pistol shot just blew you away.
Yes, because this was the time where you rolled first before you went, right, I'm activating my Iron Eagles, and you threw all the 8 dice out onto the table.
Before you could say that.
Quick in the deck.
Well, I'm not having that again.
Yeah, it was very cheeky.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be played. If I can get the dice on the table before you say quick in the dead, tough.
Yeah, so she went down to just a random pistol shot, which was massively disappointing for her.
Yeah, I think by this point you'd slaughtered most of the unit, and he was literally the last one standing in his unit.
Yeah, I think Walk's looking went through those guys, and he was the last one, and he... Again, we'll talk more about it later. He was a bit of a hero. So,
end of turn 2. We're now on 4 each.
So that was... You'd destroyed another 2 units, and I had destroyed 2 units at this point, I think.
No, you hadn't, because... Oh, yeah, 1 unit was the
Tesla
bots, but I think you got another victory point card, because you hadn't destroyed my guard skirmishers or my regular skirmishers at this point, because 1 of each was still standing.
Yes, yeah. This was the one where I got the face within 5 inches of the centre of the board.
Yes, which you'd managed. Curse those cards.
Yeah. To be fair, like this game, the cards for me, from a guts and glory point of view, they were pretty good. Mm-hmm. To be fair, like I didn't really have any super bad ones. I had a destroy an artifact card. But the flip side of the guts was an extra action point, which came in useful. So
there's the end of turn 2. As you can see, the Ironhide's not moved yet, but I have got a unit in contact with it, and I'm hoping to get it started. Didn't start, so still nothing from the Ironhide. Another end of turn shot, just to give you a better view of what's going on. But who's that on the floor? Is that Walks?
Yeah, that's Walks looking.
Yeah, both units piled in. As you can see, I rolled 9, 10, 10 from melee with their swords, and you just couldn't defend it. You were already disordered, weren't you?
Yeah. It was a really good turn, and I just couldn't roll the saves for her. Unfortunately, she's a little bit on the fragile side for somebody who's a melee specialist. She's not really got much defense from melee. She's not got parry or anything like that.
I think her defense is usually she gets into melee and everyone's dead afterwards.
Well,
it's really hard to stab someone when you're dead.
It's something I found very difficult to get around was shoulder to shoulder and hardy on the armoured guards just keeps them
in the game.
Keeps them going constantly. Yeah. It's really tricky to get around because that hardy essentially cancels out your pierce because it gives them +1 grit.
Shoulder to shoulder gives them the +1 grit. Hardy gives them a reroll.
Yeah, so they're for hands units. They're very hard to get rid of. But I'll sort of, when we did the review of how we felt the game went and everything, I'll talk more on that a little bit later. My poor Karga brother.
Kowalski, there he is.
Yep.
think by this point, this is where you tried to kill his unit using your... What's his name? The guy with the nunchucks? Kenzai, yeah. And you must have hit Kowalski 3 times, and he just didn't die. This was where the legends... This was where it was getting a bit legendary.
Yeah. Even without his buddies, he refused to die.
Yeah, you slaughtered the rest of the unit, and then just went bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Why is this guy not dying?
So, 3 lots of 4 hits.
Yeah, and they were successful hits as well.
Yep.
I was making grit checks like no one's business.
Yep. The first lot of 4 managed to wipe the other 2 out, or 3 out of the unit, and then he survived. And then, again, another 2 sets of 4 attacks.
Yeah.
And he just shrugged it off like it was nothing. It was very impressive.
And I just thought, I've got a shot, I'm not going to kill him. So I just thought, there's a Karga brother there with a Gatling. I don't need that coming at me. Oh, he's dead!
Yeah, he was pretty useless. He went to fire a shot at the unit of Tesla bots when they were there and rolled nothing but 2s, 1s and 3s.
Yeah.
So missed every single shot and then didn't get activate again and just got shot down by a single lone pistolman.
I've just remembered how my rifleman died. The Tesla bot rifleman. We backed off from Kenzai to try and shoot him, and you used your backstab rule. And
yes,
absolutely. No, let's step away. Smash. Let's not do that. That's what happened to those 3.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because when he walked into combat with them, he only managed to kill 1. But then when they tried to run away and shoot him, he just obliterated them, which was
hilarious.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
Okay.
So there's another.
Yeah, another shot of.
Kowalski taking his well-aimed shot, and he wasn't satisfied with that.
No, that's not Kowalski, though. That's the armoured guard. That's the surviving armoured guard from the unit.
Yes.
So he tanks into Kenzai. It didn't go well.
Yeah. Again, though, he stood up pretty well for just being a regular old guardsman.
It did take you a couple of punches to get him down. Kowalski's still standing.
Yeah.
At this point, Custer aims up on Kenzai. And Custer's plasma pistol is nasty.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you threw pretty much everything you had in to kill him.
I had to spend nearly all his fortune just to keep buying action points. Just got to the thought, he's got 4 limit, come on. Spent the lot, because I didn't have a big action card. I only had 2, so I had to spend almost the entirety of the rest of his fortune to get enough shots in. But you did go down.
All of your fortune, a refresh card for your fortune, which you missed a action. Was that the point where you missed a kill somebody in a shoot action? Kill a face in a shoot action?
Because I had to use the refresh card to get the fortune back. The other side of that was kill a... I would have got another VP from it, but I wouldn't have killed you if I hadn't used it, so it was a fair trade-off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, up until the end of the game, he would have been my VIP because he did a lot of killing and he did a lot of surviving as well. I was quite impressed with him. He was definitely on for VIP.
Kenzai.
Yeah, not VIP, MVP.
MVP. And then?
Literally the last turn before...
Backing up, we were on end of turn 5. I'd activated everybody. I just had 1 activation left, and it was Kowalski, and they only had 1 viable target. This was your last model on the board, wasn't it? No, was it?
No, 2 models on the board.
You had 2 models on the board, yeah. But we're coming to the end of the turn now, and Kowalski strikes again.
Yep. Again, one-shotted. Because she is no longer a face, she does not have metal anymore. She's just like a standard specialist unit. Yeah. And unfortunately for me, so one of the things that I'd forgotten about was that she has a blast weapon at her disposal. I'd sort of kept her out of the way as a buffing unit for popping portals out and invigorating my people and things like that. And then I looked at my card and realised she's got a blast weapon, which would have been really useful about 3 turns ago. I got it off once, didn't I?
Yeah.
Which is what took out a lot of the middle of the board unit.
Yeah, it did actually do a heck of a lot of damage, but again, Kowalski survived it.
Yep. So
she got one-shotted by Kowalski.
Yep.
There she is dead. We just dragged his corpse out just to see. And then is this the final shot of the game? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the final.
Again, your last one. What's her name?
Eurona.
Yeah, again, literally this is the last dice roll of the game. I've only got one shot at this. It was a hard shot because were you in melee? And it was literally there was that much things in the way. It was literally I could only hit you if I rolled a 10, which I did, and the only way you could fail was if you rolled a 1, which you did.
Yep. So my plan was I'd had a card from turn 1 of the game which said kill a boss in a shoot action, which was my initial plan with her, was to try and snipe, get a disordered on somebody and then use her to just snipe away and kill him off. And I'd had that card from turn 1. When it got to turn 5, I said if I didn't get the initiative I was going to just concede, because there's no way I could beat you now.
But you didn't, and what a turn that she had. We chucked everything at her and she did not die. Everybody had a shot.
Yep. Everybody took a shot. Custer took shots, and he put everything he could into her.
Yeah, again, I burned the fortune trying to get as many shots off, and she just either missed or she made the grit checks. The rifleman had shots. The guard had shots. Everybody had shots. Very last model to activate in its Kowalski.
And he manages to hit the 10. And I rolled the 1 for the save. And I said, literally before I rolled the dice, when Sam rolled a 10, I said, this is going to be a 1. I guarantee it.
I went, nah. And he rolled it, and I couldn't see where it rolled. He went, it's a 1. I went, nah. He went, it is. And I went, oh my God.
I could not believe it. So, in the end, I was completely tabled. I'd lost every single unit that I had.
It was just the fact it was the very last possible dice roll of the game.
Yep.
End of turn 5.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have been a massive gap between the two of us. And if I'd have managed to have killed Custer and got that extra victory point, I'd have got 2 victory points. It'd literally been a point between us. You'd have still have won, but it would have been, 1 point. It would have been a much closer game. Let's put it that way. Which is why I decided in the end, I thought, well, this game, I always forget how sort of the game really does feel narrative at times. Like, you always have that one unit that seems to just completely fluke its way through the game, and you always have that sort of last-ditch effort. And I forget with Wes Exodus, you should never just go, do you know what, I'm not going to play this last turn, because you've got no idea
what's going
to happen. And this just goes to prove it. I had 1 unit left in the game, and I managed to survive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 activations, including a boss with a shooter of is it 4 attacks?
3
from the plasma shooters.
3. Yeah.
I managed to survive 2 volleys of that, and it was a pistolier, the heroic pistolier, that managed to take me down in the end. So this is why we love Wes Exodus.
We do. We love this game
because it can. You can have these, even if it feels like you've got nothing left to do. There is always something left to do until the last model's off the table. You have to keep playing because you're still going to get the funny, cool, amazing stories from the game. It never fails to deliver on those.
So next slide, the final score, because you get a bonus 5 points for tabling somebody, ended up with me being 14 versus the Warrior Nation 5, which it sounds like a massive victory, but it was just down to that last round. It still could have got. I was still quite surprised I won. I did expect I was going to get absolutely mullered in melee. I thought they were going to be popping up portals and just carnage. And so I was very surprised that we survived. Not only survived, but we won. The MVP, the hero's name is Kowalski. I named him that because I thought I've got to give him a name now. And the first name that popped in my head was Kowalski because old TV series Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea set on a submarine. There was a cast member in there called Kowalski who was just a bit part, and he got more and more. He became quite popular and became a main character in it. But he was. One of his things in the thing was he was always known as the lucky one. So I picked that as it's also a classic American name, Kowalski. It's actually Polish, but there's a lot of people called Kowalski in America. So I think that's it, and I've handed him over to you and I've said paint him because you're a much better painter than I. So he's going to get a hero's paint job with gold shoulder pads or something like that.
Something suitably heroic, I think.
Yes.
How do you feel your game, your posse, your force played for Union for the first proper time?
I think it overperformed my expectations. I was expecting to get sliced and diced, but I tried desperately to remember all my rules. The main thing you have to remember with Union is you've got to keep that shoulder to shoulder. That extra point in grit is going to keep you on the board for much longer. It's kind of strange that the skirmishers have shoulder to shoulder because they do also have the rule, which means their coherency can be stretched out. But you stick together. Stick together as much as possible, and remembering Custer's myriad rules, which he's a great buffing unit. People get +1s on dice rolls. They can re-roll dice if they're near him. And of course, Custer's very hard to kill because he'll just use you as a meat shield. I liked the Custer posse. I really liked Tesla's posse. Not so keen on. It just didn't do a lot at all. I mean, Testa was the only one that actually managed to kill anything, and I suppose the bikes did get to put shock on, which resulted in a death because of that, because she couldn't metal off afterwards. But I think I might need to tinker with Testa's Irresistible Force posse, try a few different configurations of that. But it was cut down because of our 125 point limit. I couldn't take more. So it was there. It meant she was shooting at something else for a while, but Tesla's posse needs work for me. What about yours?
So I suffered, and I knew it was going to be the case before we went into the game, but I suffered from lack of numbers, and it was that I knew it was going to be the thing that did me in the end, was that having a lot less people in general would be a major issue for me, and it really did hurt me. The Necromata posse are good, and they've got decent stuff. They've got a lot of tools in their arsenal, but the problem is they can't. Once you've lost one person, and if you've lost your buffing and your commander, which I did, and I had to throw them into the fray because them sitting behind the rock for the whole game, they were going to be just as bad.
Yeah.
And once you activate one person, unless you've got trigger activation, and they don't have teamwork, so you can't do it that way, unless you can get multiple people to charge in, you're always going to be...
Yeah, it's the follow-up is always struggling with you.
So having those...
Do you think Necromata are better off as a second posse? And Walk's Looking's posse is meant to have hands in it, but you don't have the models. If you've gone a hands-heavy version of Walk's Looking's posse... I'm right, she has got slots for hands, hasn't she?
She's got plenty of slots for the Warrior Nation units. I did consider... to sort of thin down the Necromata and put more stuff in Walk's Looking posse, but I really wanted to run just the full Necromata posse because I'd paint them all up. They looked great. The cards were cool, and it was a nice sort of thematic elite list. And I just thought, well, the Karga brother's got like a Gatling gun, but again with the Karga brother, his aim's only 4, so once you're over 12 inches. It's down to 3, and you're only hitting on 7s, and it's again because I only had the one of them in the unit. It's not a great unit to take, and I should have maybe have considered taking somebody different, like maybe Raven's Eye or somebody like that. I also forgot about the totems. Like they gave me free rerolls.
Yeah, you completely ignored those for almost the entire time.
That was really bad. I think it's. I want to play Warrior Nation again. I will not take the Necromata posse at all next time, I don't think. I will take a more balanced shooting and fighting and more bodies in general.
That means you're going to be buying some more models then.
Yes.
I think what had helped you is you didn't have the tokens for it, but just putting fortune chips under each of the totems would have reminded you that you can do that.
Again, like once you're out of 10 inches, you can't use it. So because the Necromati need to get in to the centre, and you can't place them within 10 each other, and because of the deployment zones, it was so hard to get them anywhere where they weren't tripping over each other, and I can actually place them. And once I was out of that 10-inch range and towards the centre of the camp, they just became useless. I think it's a case of next time I'll be more aware of them and I'll know them, and now I know that the Necromata posse is a posse that I will run against another elite posse. If I, like, when we play a game where you just go, I'm going to bring Enlightened, and I'll go, okay, I'll bring Warrior Nation, and I think you're going to run Soul Hunters, then I'll bring Necromata.
Yeah. Necromata will do very well against elite posses like Soul Hunters, Infernal Investigations, Secret Service. They're going to rip them in half, because as good as those posses are, they are not cut out to deal with the melee monsters that they are. On the other hand, if we can keep you at distance and snipe at you, we've got a chance. But again, depends on the posse you take. Again, it's a criticism of both, just remembering rules, which is why I do like the Forlorn Hope, because there's very few rules to remember, and they're all in Custer. So as long as you can remember Custer, you're good. But you had so many, like, you forgot your Blast, you forgot your... Was it Invigorate you could have done? And you forgot, or did you lose that character too fast?
So, like I say, this is the problem, that they just couldn't stand up to the amount of attacks that were being thrown at me from all over the place. Not knowing that Custer could pull people in his way, because then I'd have focused on the units rather than Custer to start off with. I don't think it'd have been a much different game, because you weren't afraid. Like, Custer killing his own men is very A, on brand, and B, funny. So I don't think it would have stopped you from just being like, it doesn't matter. Like, I've still got, another 12 people in the other groups, and the Iron Eagles being ineffective was just unlucky. I think they would have been much more useful against hands heavier group, because then I can't quicken the dead out of the way of it.
No, and they chuck down a hell of a lot of dice, especially when you've got two of them.
Then you're disordering... No, not disorder. Yeah, it is disorder and stunning a unit, which is really, really painful. So I think in this case, it was just like you'd bought the best version of a posse to go against what I had, and there's not a lot I could have done with what I'd got to stop it.
I never planned my posses around what you're taking. I just thought, what's going to look cool? And I knew, because we're doing a Circle the Wagons one, I thought you've got to have the Union Army. So I just thought, I'm having Custer, not because I think he's good or anything. It's just because it's thematic. And my only decision really was which was I going to take with them. And I had actually tried out all my other posses. I've got three different lists. I tried it with Tesla, I tried it with Lincoln, and I tried it with Infernal Investigations as well. And I eventually decided that my best chance was with Tesla, because I could bring more bodies on the floor. But that was the only tactical decision I made. I just thought, I'm taking everything I can from Forlorn Hope because it looks good. Didn't actually expect it to be good, to be actually good. I just thought they'd die. Yeah. And my second posse would be doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. It's interesting that... And I forgot when we played him before that Custer can only use his fortune on his own, but he still has buffs for his men as well. I think Forlorn Hope is an underrated posse, because I've played it twice now, and both times I've lost massively to it.
The other time was against my son.
Yeah. And again, it's just all of that shooting and fighting into elite units. They can't cope with it. I think, to be fair, in 3.0, because we found the same thing when I did Union as well, is that I really struggled to take people down. It's only because I managed to sneak a couple of scenario points in that I won the last game that we played with Ordered versus Enlightened. I think this game you need to take a much more balanced force of a bit of everything rather than just like a fully elite force. You need a little bit of hands, a little bit of specialists, a little bit of faces, and
Yeah,
support.
which I think it makes it a better game.
Yeah.
The previous iteration, hands had some serious advantages and some serious disadvantages, and they were often, especially at the tournament level, not taken in preference for faces. I think now with 3, hands are very viable.
Yeah, but not overpowered at the same time.
But not overpowered. But they're really good, for example, at tying up a combat. You know, if you've got a combat monster, but he's got a face, he's got to take out 5 hands who've all just surrounded him. It slows them down. I'm warming to hands. Obviously, playing Enlightened, you use a lot of hands because you've got constructs a go-go.
Yep.
And I'm definitely warming to using my hands units and getting how to get the best out of them. And I will definitely take Forlorn Hope again when I'm doing Union.
Yeah, so I think we are going to do a follow-up game of Union versus Warrior Nation
at some point. But not next. No. We have come to the decision that it's been a very long time since we've played Dystopian Wars. Well over a year, I think, since we last played the game, and it was pre the last major update. So we're going to go... Next game is going to be Dystopian Wars of some kind. We haven't thought about anything other than that. It's going to be Dystopian Wars. You probably want to bring something aerial. You're probably going to take your Avalon.
I don't know. If we're going to play a small game, possibly not, because I don't think I'll actually be able to take it.
Yeah.
But we'll work it out. We're going to play 1,000 points, I think we decided.
Because we need to relearn the rules.
Yeah. We need to relearn the rules. We need to make sure we're getting it right, and then we'll up it to 1,500 for the second game.
Yeah,
and it might even be in the same day if we've got it right, and if we've got the time.
Yeah,
we might do 2 for 1 in a day, depending on how it goes. And then in the 1,500 game, I think I probably will be able to take the Avalon and some bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm. And that game will probably again be at the Elite Gaming Lounge because we like it there. It's just nice. We highly recommend it.
So, yeah, next Dystopian Wars Battle Report. It will be coming at some point. We need to arrange it and everything beforehand. And that will do us for this Battle Report. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to give the video a like if you can, because apparently that helps for some reason. I've no idea why. Why not do it?
Yeah.
Why not?
And on a final note, if we get this right, this should be released on April next Sunday, which is actually our 2nd birthday. 2 years of podcasting.
Yep.
And it's been great.
Yep. It's been a lot of fun. So, yeah, hopefully it comes out on a birthday. We might try and do some other stuff for the birthday. We'll try and get the podcast edited in time for the birthday as well. Maybe. Depends on how busy I am.
The teasers at least should have been let loose into the wild by that point, so we might be able to get those in.
So, we'll see. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Happy trails, pilgrims.